kind of two different halves for us in the way we performed. Played really good on defense in the first half, and then struggled in the second half, and played very quietly on offense in the first half, and then put up a bunch of numbers and points in the second half. So it was really two different halves entirely for us, and unfortunately we didn't have enough time to get back to get it done. And they did a good job. I really, they got to credit them. They made some really good plays, really big plays that made a difference in the game. They were really not familiar to us to see that happen, and so we got to give them credit. We've got a lot of areas that we saw that we learned some more about. I think the offensive line really showed us some stuff yesterday that we liked. We saw that we could protect. We saw that when we did run the football, we had some nice movement at the line of scrimmage, and so we're building. I think Odeabushi had something to do with that. I think he helped us yesterday, and it was a nice performance by him, and I think he complimented well for his first time out with us. So that was good. We're doing some really good things. When you keep playing football and don't turn the football over, we count on winning, and we're doing a really good job in that regard. And that's something it's not easy to do. It's not translating yet because we're not getting the ball on the other end of it. On the defensive side, it's really important to do. And so when there's things for us to work out, I think we're going to get a lot better. I can feel our newness. I can feel the youth of our club, and that's why we're all encouraged that we can get better and do some really good things and get going. We need to get going. Obviously, we've kind of been here before too, and I don't feel unfamiliar with it. Not happy with it, but I'm not unfamiliar with it, and we know we got to get going, and everybody's determined to do that.
You brought up the word consistency a couple times yesterday. Just what do you need to see from this team to kind of know that you're getting there?
Well, we got to stop hurting ourselves. In the areas that cause problems. We had trouble at the line of scrimmage on defense. We had troubles with the snap on offense. It's just like those are totally within our control, and we got to take care of business. Those things have to go away so they're not stuttering or way to go down the field or to stop the other team.
Coach, you've said that you've been here before. I was going to ask a question about that as well, because a slow start, you've had that before.
Yes. Yeah, we have. There's been a couple of years when we've had a hard time getting going, and so we're generally a very young team. We have a lot of young players, and we have a lot of young players now, and we have to bring them along and make sure that they fit together, and the experience and newness fit. And we're struggling with that a little bit. You can see it, and but that's the good thing, because we understand it. We know what's going to happen. These guys are going to really fit in. They're going to really do their jobs. They're playing really hard right now, but we got to play really smart and play right. And so that'll come. And I don't have any question in knowing that, really. And so sooner the better.
May I ask another question? And this one is about the protest that the players didn't come out on the field. We're hearing from a lot of people who are angry about what the players are doing, what the Seahawks did yesterday, not coming out at all. What is your response to that?
Well, I understand that that there's different points of view here, and I think this is a really fascinating opportunity for us to understand that there's differences of how we look at things. These are they're protests, and they're statements of feelings and expressions of freedom of speech that can be taken as however you want to take it. And it's hard for everybody to see everybody's view, but because we don't have the skills of that empathy calls for, to understand somebody has something to say, and empathy would call on us to listen and to not pass judgment, and then whether or not you want to demonstrate compassion by working to try to help their situation, that's what's at stake right here. And I don't think it's been so directed at just the flag or just law enforcement or other thoughts. That's not at all what the players are expressing. They're expressing freedom of speech and expression, and they have a lot to say, and they're skilled at what they want to say and what they stand for. In that, I'd like to say too that our players are they're in a very fortunate situation. It has nothing to do with how much money they make. They're in a position where they can speak out, and they can hopefully create change and get their points of view out there that are designed to help people. And this isn't about that they the kind of salaries they make. They're very fortunate to be where they are, and they know it, and they have the courage to stand up and speak out. And that's not being recognized as much as we would like. It's more polarized in that. And so we understand why people are upset about it, but it is not about denigration of the flag or our country or anything that stands for. It's not about that at all. It's about trying to get your feelings out and your ideas across, and protest just by the nature of the word, and not everybody's going to agree, and that's why it's protest. And so I think it's extraordinary that this has happened, and I think it's a moment that we all can learn what we want to learn out of this. But I hope we learn about empathy, to listen and to come to an understanding of what somebody else feels without passing judgment. And it doesn't mean you're going to agree. That's okay. That's okay. And then hopefully, like I said, the compassion part of it will come about in proper manner, and there will be action taken, there will be movement made, and we will come to understand more. So I think it's hard. It's hard, but it's good, and.
Regarding that, on Saturday meetings, I understand everyone wanted to try to get to a place where there could be a unified response. But what do you say to those who are Trump supporters in the locker room about sublimating their position for the greater good?
Directly, what I did is I hugged them, talked to them, and expressed that we appreciate where they're coming from and what they feel, and with no other thought but to accept them, exactly what I'm talking about. But realizing they have every right in the world to feel like what they feel, and they had a choice to make, and they had a choice to do what they wanted to do, and they decided to stay with the team. And that was a hard decision for a few guys, and I totally understand that. And so one of the things that our players have that a lot of people outside in the outside world don't have is they know what it is to be on a team, and they know what it is to work for a common cause and to make the sacrifices, that it calls to be in a team setting. Our guys are skilled at that understanding, and it's important to them, and so they know that there's times when you're acting on the good of the group rather than what is fit for you personally, and that's about the sacrifice that you make for the good of the group, and that's what that was about. And I think it was powerful in that, probably more so than almost anything, that they were willing to do that, and we loved them up and hugged them up, and we're grateful for them and for their perspective.
Was there a time with someone there that you had to be concerned that they were not going to go along and that they would go out alone on the sideline?
To some extent, yes. Yeah, that was why it was a long discussion and a lot of conversation and a lot of emotion shared. Yeah, did you ask if I was worried about it? No, I was just concerned for their own being. I wanted them to feel connected to what was going on in the way that they maybe had to make the sacrifice of their thought, and that was it's a powerful statement. It's a powerful statement, maybe more so for those guys than for the majority of the guys that felt differently.
You were made aware of the president's comments as the coach of these guys in varied backgrounds. What were your concerns as far as keeping a team bonded? What concerns?
I had no concerns about that. No, I didn't have any concerns about that at all. It wasn't about keeping the team bonded. It was just what was going to be the what would be the response, and where would it go?
That would be a better question. What concerns did you have with how they would respond, knowing that they were?
I was concerned because I didn't know. So we had a lot to do on that weekend. We had a big game to be played and all that, and we have a very short amount of time. We have not very many opportunities to really discuss, and really not enough time to really lay it all out over a long period of time where you can make a really a long-term solid decision. We had short time to do it, and pressed with that, and I was concerned about all that, But I also knew that everybody else was involved with it as well, and other teams would handle it in their way, but it was a relative issue, and so we just have to figure our way through it.
Did what the Steelers do earlier Sunday affect or change or alter whatever?
No. I don't know when they decided. I wasn't aware of them.
It wasn't like when you saw them that you thought, well...
No.
Coach, there is a business aspect to this, and we did look at the numbers, and we don't know why people watch or don't watch, but at least based on the figures that we had, there were fewer viewers of the game yesterday than the average over the last 2 years. And so if people stop watching the games and stop supporting the teams, might there be a different reaction?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that'll play out. Right now, it's by doing the right thing, and everybody loves this game, and we love to play it. And then sports has always been the uniter. It has never been the divider. It's been the uniter, and to make it something other than that, I think, is a terrible mistake, because it's an institution in our culture and others around the world that's so powerful and so important, and it demonstrates all of the beautiful things about culture and all of the beautiful things about bringing people together from different backgrounds and all, and rallying, for common goals and all that. I can't imagine why anybody would want to disrupt that.
Pete, I think John Schneider on the radio interview prior to the game said that these meetings were long and emotional that you had on Saturday. How, in terms of your experience, how alike and how different was this than anything you?
It was unique because the subject matter was unique. We've been in these discussions before here, and that by design we delved into the topics a long time ago, and. In that, I'm just practicing, practicing how to get in discussions of different issues and things like that, because it gives us a chance to find out who we are as individuals as we belong to a team, and I think it's really important that we do that. So this was an extension of those meetings in the past, and the crunch of time was an issue. There wasn't much time, and so you could feel that sense. That was a sense of urgency that I wish we didn't have to deal with. We needed to take all the time we needed, but we weren't afforded that, so you got to deal with what you got. Let me, you're giving me the chance. Just in our own world right here, our players have a lot. They have a lot to say. They have a lot to offer, and it's because they're so concerned, and they care so much, and it's so important. Not everybody understands that. Not everybody understands the inequalities that other people see, and because of that, often, because you can't see it, doesn't mean it's not there. And I think that's a really important fact, because I think a lot of people are speaking about things and making reference to stuff because they don't understand why people are willing to protest or willing to stand up and try to speak out. And I don't think they're recognizing the courage that takes and what they may be jeopardizing and all that. And I think this is such an important moment, and I don't think we should miss it. And I think we need to go into it further, and we need new skills. We need new empathy skills. We need it, and hopefully, maybe some will come about. Maybe we'll find some new teachings, and we'll come to understand how to move forward. And it's an exciting potential. I hope it happens.
Given the depth and intensity that you just described of the meetings, do you see that may have had an impact on Sunday's development?
That's really what you want to know. Yeah, I think it's relative, and everybody had to handle it the way they did. I don't know. I know that they were talking about it too, and and Mike called me in the morning. Yeah, Mike called me in the morning and wanted to know what we were doing. I told him. He said, "Great, well, and they were going to do the same thing and all that." So, I don't know if they were going to do the same thing before that phone call or after. I don't know that. I know that some of our players had been talking to each other, so they had shared some ideas and all that.
What did you guys do in the locker room while the anthem was being played?
Just getting fired up. Really, music was playing and we're getting fired up. Like it was just a normal. It was a few minutes longer than normal. Prelim.
For the guys that you did have to, you mentioned like hug or talk to beforehand that you may have not felt connected to what was going on. Did you have to say something to them to get them on board with?
Did I talk them into it? No, not at any point. I never even thought of doing that. I was just grateful that they decided to do what they wanted to do, and because it was important to be together. I think that was important, but it was also important to feel like you feel too. But that's the way it went, and it went quite well.
Coach, would you like to return to the days when the team stayed in the locker room and then came out after the anthem? Because it hasn't been that long that the teams have come out and been there for the anthem.
Yeah, would I like to return to that? I don't think that's important that we return to it. I think whatever, I don't have any problem with that. But what we have learned is that there's a window there of an opportunity to make an expression. That's what's occurred, and that's why you've seen this. We didn't know that before, but it happened, and it's happened historically at times. But it's been brought to the front in the league and other leagues, and I would think as well, other sports and all of that. Whatever it is, we'll deal with it.
What does it say about these players in your locker room that individuals would put aside what they support and what they believe in just to support everyone and try to drive this message home? Yeah,
I think it's a wonderful statement of being part of something and being willing to listen to the other side and to be empathetic and make choices based on you want to support those others, and that's huge. That's a huge statement. It might be, like I said, it might be one of the most powerful statements, is that people are willing to listen to the other side and then act accordingly, as opposed to not listening and not hearing it and not I think it's hugely important. If we're going to move forward, we have to listen to the messaging that's being screamed at us about inequality, and we have to listen. It has nothing to do with a lot of other stuff. It has to do with just listening and finding a way to understand and then hopefully going to the compassion and being willing to do something about it.
Part of the players' message is that some of these issues happen to them when they're off the field. Do you think that's getting across? Because everybody's looking then through the filter of football players, but they're saying when I go to the store, these issues come up.
Yeah, that's come through loud and clear. That you're not a football player wearing a uniform everywhere you go. You're a regular citizen in the community, and that's where in football the inequalities don't demonstrate themselves. It's when we go into normal life settings, and that's when it's so powerful that we share what that feels like. We share what it feels like to be in another group and what their world is like and what their day-to-day and what their existence is. Because I don't think that's understood very well. That's where we don't understand inequalities. Because you're a football player, you should be grateful and shut up. That's not what's going on here. We're talking about what's happening on the other side of the world and what's going on around us, to try to share that experience so others can come to understand, oh, that's why you're protesting. Oh, that's why you've been talking about this for hundreds of years. And we hear it and know it loud and clear, and we have great respect for what everyone goes through because of that. And so it is the topic.
This enable players, open doors for players to look at something else they can do past football, and I mean like civil, in terms of maybe getting running for office, those kinds of things in a leadership role once they get done.
Without question, our guys are already active, and they're already finding themselves in positions and discussions and in conversations with people that they might not have ever come across otherwise. And their willingness is where they're seeing the opportunity, and they're also realizing that it takes courage to go ahead and take these steps towards being more active in the community and all of that. And they're willing, and yeah, I think you see many. I'm sure all teams have great examples of that. We certainly do here.
What about the next game? How will you act then?
I don't know.
You haven't made a decision about whether you'll stay in, go out?
No, maybe we're just trying to get through the film right now. Figure out who's got a sprained ankle or not. Unfortunately. Okay. Okay, so yeah, who has sprained ankles? Riso Diamo got looked at today for his ankle. CJ Procyse got his ankle looked at. We've looked at a couple groins and hamstrings and all that as well.
How's Doug Baldwin's groin?
He's got a strain. We'll see what that means. We don't know what that means for the week at this point.
When you look at the run defense and the couple runs that broke out on you last week against the 49ers, and then the Murray run and the Matthews screen pass, is there any thread you see between them? Is there any concern you have over that?
The thread is we've made totally unique, different mistakes, but we've made a couple big mistakes, and they've really cost us. Really fine running backs have been able to take advantage of it and really maximize them. it was a great run yesterday on the 75-yarder, but it was we made an error, and we misread a formation and didn't hit it just right on the run play, and the ball got out, and we're concerned. Yeah, we're concerned that we don't want that to happen anymore. We're going to get rid of that. We played such a perfect first half of run fits, and then there was just a couple of similar plays in the second half that we didn't hit right. Different looks from the defensive side, but gosh, we were just so on it to start on 26 yards rushing from that group, and they were really trying. And the first half was really exquisitely played, and then in the second half it fell apart with a couple runs, So.
Pete, there was a video in the second half last night of Doug Baldwin walking off the field, taking his helmet off, and having words with guys on the sidelines. I think Bobby Wagner responded, and there was a little bit of a verbal confrontation, and you talked to Doug after that. What was that about?
He was just frustrated. We didn't convert the third down play, and he was just mad at it. And he was actually talking to me. It was he and I that were having the back and forth, and then it just kind of that much emotion sometimes can land where you don't want it to, and Bobby picked up on it, I think, or something like that. But we were all of that's been taken care of and dealt with, and understood that in the heat of the battle.
What was going on with the snaps?
They were all different. We had a low snap. We had a snap under center that we mishandled. We had a snap in the silent count situation that was off timed, so. It wasn't one thing, If it was that, it would have been easy to fix. And Russell could have. There was a low ball that he didn't catch that usually he gets, and it just got away from him. And so there was there's really 4 snaps that were in question, and there's 4 huge opportunities, so it's hard to take those. We have to. That has to be clean. It can't be part of our football without having overcome all of those, and that's what we had to do.
What enabled your offense to start getting things going in the second half?
Yeah, I think everybody they got comfortable, and right at the end of the half we hit it fast and got down the field and scored. Came right out in the first series of the third quarter, right on the money with converting on a couple third downs and the touchdown play and running and throwing. Everything was on it. Then. The score went bang bang, and we got behind. We had to throw the ball to catch up, and we were in the mode we could protect, and Russell was on the money, and guys were making plays, and we were able to we put up over 300 yards of offense in the second half.
Anything else?
Frank Clark, did something happen to him?
He cramped, cramped up.
Do you have any update on Dewey McDonald?
I don't have the last word of it, but he does have an ACL injury, and to the extent of it, I don't know, but it's serious.
Which knee is it?
I don't know.
I
think it's the other knee. He hurt his other one a couple years back. It's the other one.
On the radio, you said you talked to the league about the Richards, kind of the beginning of the play, the pass interference and all that. I mean, did you get some clarification of what?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what they thought of it, and they saw that he hadn't established a position soon enough. It was too late, right in the middle of the route. He covered the route, and blanketed it, and I also that's not what the interpretation was on the field. So I was just trying to figure it out a little bit, and.
In retrospect, do you have any issue with how Richard handled that?
Sure. Yeah. He got too high, took his helmet off. You take your helmet off, it's an automatic penalty, and when you're on the field of play, and we've covered that for years. But he just in the moment he made a mistake, and that's the other one was in the midst of play, and he got called for a penalty. But that's a 15-yarder that you just hand somebody. Fortunately, we held him up, and we held up there, and we forced him to kick a field goal.
How did Chris run yesterday?
He ran well. He ran well. Again, we need him. The running back needs more carries, and I think our guys are still young and figuring it out and all that. And there wasn't enough carries to share it, and so Thomas and Eddie didn't get a shot to go much and didn't do much to contribute. But it wasn't by their doings. We just really didn't get enough plays.
Do you tell them anything? Those two guys used to being frontliners that get the ball.
Yeah, it's hard for them, and they want the ball every snap, and I don't blame them. They're great competitive kids, and if they didn't feel like they wanted it, they wouldn't be who they are. So it's difficult.
And your message to them was?
Not a message to share with you.
Did you
you feel like anything changed with Russell? I mean, it seemed like early he maybe missed a couple of throws in the second half, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah. He absolutely he found it. You know, he found the groove and got rolling, and it was pretty much unstoppable once he got going. But we started off. You know, he missed a couple, and you know, I think he was pumped up, and he overthrew 3 or 4 balls in there in the first couple sequences, and it was enough to keep us from getting going. We wound up punting the football the whole time in the first quarter.
Do the lowly Colts give you an opportunity to get
I
back,
don't know who you're talking about.
get back in the winners?
Colts are coming off a big win, matter of fact.
Thank you.
Thanks.